Derrick Henry is ready to ball out against the Dolphins defense, and DeAndre Swift and Travis Etienne are both top 12 running back plays this week. We reveal our full running back fantasy rankings for week 9 on today's episode of Locked On Fantasy Football.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm one of your co-hosts, Michelle Magdziuk, and when I'm not doing this, I'm a researcher and fantasy analyst with NFL Network.
And I'm your other co-host, Vinnie Iyer. When I'm not doing this, I'm writing about NFL fantasy and betting for sportingnews.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Today, we are getting into our running back rankings for week 9. We already revealed our quarterback and tight end rankings on yesterday's show, so you can go listen to that if you missed it. We do have some teams on bye this week, so if you've been utilizing Quinshon Judkins or Saquon Barkley, Rachaad White, Breece Hall, all 4 of those fantasy running backs will be on bye this week. You'll have to find a replacement. Hopefully we can help you do that later on in the show when we get to those flex running back 2 type of plays. But let's start right at the top. Our running back 1 for both of us this week is Jonathan Taylor against that terrible Steelers defense. Both of our running back 2s is Christian McCaffrey against the Giants. Then I have Bijan Robinson at number 3. You're a little bit lower on him this week. You have him at running back 7. I get it. The Patriots defense is very, very good. They are a very good run defense. But one thing they're not good at is covering receiving backs. They're allowed the most receptions to running backs this year. So I'm hoping the Falcons are smart enough to actually use Bijan Robinson in the receiving game this week and use him like as a type of way of their running game in the short passing game.
Yeah, that's going to be the key here because I don't know what happened to the Falcons. They were just out of sorts. Maybe Kirk Cousins starting last minute with no Drake London. That was a big change late in the week where Penix can play and London also can play. So that kind of squashed their offense altogether. But Dolphins were just so bad against the run. It was inexcusable to not get Bijan going into that game. Now, the Patriots have been pretty solid against the run. They do give up catches to both the running backs and tight ends, which is also a natural thing that happens. I'm just going a little lower this week because, again, I think Christian McCaffrey can kill the Giants here on the road. Jahmyr Gibbs is back in the equation. Josh Jacobs is the Panthers in a really good matchup at home. And Devin Achane has the Ravens. He's just been destroying it with all the key touches he's getting, and the Ravens have trouble with that type of back. We just saw that from DeAndre Swift last week. So Bijan is just a little bit lower because I think I trust those players as well as those teams in front of him to give those running backs the ball in the right way to be the most effective. Now, I just lost a little bit of confidence here in the Falcons as a general team. It can easily bounce back up, right? I mean, Bijan has been great, but look, I had to put him and James Cook, who smashed it just last week, a little bit lower only because all those other guys just have such juicy matchups. So it could just be a big week of scoring all around for running backs, and that's what we want.
Yeah, and I do have all those same guys ranked with you, right? I just have Bijan ahead of them, but I don't mind any of those guys. We actually have the same 8 running backs at our top 8, just a slightly different order. So as I mentioned, we both have Taylor and CMC 1 and 2. Bijan's my running back 3, Jahmyr Gibbs at 4, Derrick Henry at 5, Devin Achane at 6, James Cook at 7, and Josh Jacobs at 8, while yours goes Taylor, McCaffrey, Achane, Henry, Gibbs, Jacobs, Bijan, and then James Cook. But let's talk about Derrick Henry here because it was looking like it was a very, very disappointing year for him, right? For a while, was not getting it done. It looked like he may have been hitting father time. But the last 2 games, he's definitely come alive. And he finally got into the end zone a couple times this last game against the Bears. And with Lamar Jackson back, everything should be much easier. And he gets the Dolphins this week. I know they just held Bijan Robinson to nothing because they just didn't run the ball, the Falcons, and they're getting destroyed. But I just don't think that's going to be the case against the Ravens in that run game this week against the Dolphins.
Yeah, they're just back to their formula of how they want to play. I think you had a little bit of that return with Tyler Huntley, not quite fully exploded there without Jackson, but Jackson takes it to another notch when he returns. He kills the Dolphins. We've talked about that. That's why he was so high up there. And Derrick Henry, yeah, things do open up for Henry when you have Lamar Jackson. You got to worry about his running and his downfield passing. Naturally, your running back's going to be better when you actually are threatened. And it just shows that the Ravens' overall offense without Lamar Jackson is not that scary. That was going to affect Derrick Henry for sure. So now that's not there. Derrick Henry went to the Ravens because he wanted to feed off and produce off Lamar Jackson. So it's kind of a mutually destructive and mutually beneficial relationship they have in terms of their production. So I think that'll all be restored. The Dolphins, again, a little bit fluky that they were able to stop the Falcons. Falcons really stopped themselves by getting into a big hole, which I do not see the Ravens doing at Miami in this game like the Atlanta Falcons did at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, at number 9, I have Javonte Williams. You have him at 11. He's just been a consistent play, and at home, the Cowboys offense should be great. Your number 9 is DeAndre Swift against that terrible Bengals defense. I also have Swift ranked higher than normal as well. I have him at running back 12. I just like a couple guys a little bit more ahead of him. But DeAndre Swift, I mean, he should be able to eat up against this Bengals defense that have allowed by far the most points to running backs this year at 31 points per game to running backs. The next closest are the Titans at 26. So 5 more points per game than any other team, and half PPR the Bengals are giving up to running backs. And it should be a high-scoring game as long as Joe Flacco can play, but that's not really going to affect Swift either way if Flacco plays or not.
Yeah, when you look at it with Ben Johnson, they want to get Caleb Williams out of this mini slump that he's in here. They did suffer their loss. They were winning 4 in a row, then they stumbled against Baltimore, as we just talked about them. Now they want to get back on track. And I think the way to break your quarterback in a slump, stick with the running game a little bit. Open things up naturally in the passing game downfield by getting that run going again with Swift. And I think they can easily do that in this matchup. They're blocking, and the interior is good enough to dominate what Cincinnati has in the middle. So everything lines up here for Swift. Kyle, my guy, if you're really desperate and you need to play this week, and you might for one of those running backs that were out and you play, or a flex guy that you can look at. There's some injury issues as well at this position. So, yeah, the Bears running game in general should get back on track this week. It was just a little bit of hiccup there in Baltimore, and they still were not terrible. I think this week the entire offense kind of responds better in Cincinnati. So Swift, that's why I like him at number 9 this week. Now, another running back that we like, Michelle has Swift at 12. This is the person she has right ahead is Travis Etienne Jr. at the Raiders. I've got him at RB15. Michelle has him at RB11. Now, look, when the Jaguars are behind, it's not a great story because Etienne doesn't catch passes. He's not getting the checkdowns. We have Bashal Tutin coming in. But they are playing the Raiders. They're favorites on the road. Both teams are coming off a bye. Etienne is well rested. The game script should be in the Jaguars' favor. Is that pretty much what it comes down to? Like, the matchup is great, and the Jaguars are playing from ahead.
Yeah, I'm taking a leap of faith here in the Jaguars after their bye. It's a nice matchup for Etienne. I'm hoping this coaching staff went in and said, okay, we were doing well, winning games when we were leaning on Etienne, and he was doing really well. Let's do that again. There's no reason to put the ball in the hands of Trevor Lawrence too much and allow the passing game to make mistakes. And yeah, I mean, the last 2 weeks where he has gotten limited work, it's been in games that they're getting beat pretty good. I mean, they were never truly like super close in that Seahawks game. They got destroyed by the Rams. So I do think he gets more work in this game. He ends up having a really solid game. That's why I have him at running back 11 this week. But I do get why you have him at 15. It's a risk for sure to have him ranked that high. And I have him just ahead of DeAndre Swift, and then just behind Kyren Williams, who I have at 10. You also have him at 10. To close out your top 12, because we just closed out mine with Kyren Williams at 10, Etienne at 11, Swift at 12. You go Williams at 10, Kyren Williams at 10, Javonte Williams at 11, and then Kimani Vidal you have at running back 12. I love him this week as well, so we'll get to that and the rest of our running back rankings right after a quick break.
This episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make every drive feel like anything but every day, from smooth handling to intuitive controls with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV. You can drive with confidence through almost any season with Mazda. Like our players in fantasy football, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved.
This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. The NFL season is here. And honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, the login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it can be very frustrating. That's why I always use Game Time, the app that gives back the advantage to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you play. You can go on the app right now, and just a couple taps, you're going to see great deals to any of your favorite NFL games. I'm talking as low as $100 for some of these games. And the app is made super simple to use. So it takes literally a minute, not even, to buy your tickets once you find your favorite ones you want. And you get to see the exact view from the seat you want to buy. So you're not surprised once you get to the game. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Continuing our running back rankings, as I mentioned before the break, you have Kimani Vidal as your running back 12, and then Chase Brown at running back 13. I am not far behind you on either of those guys. I have Brown at 14 against the Bears and Vidal at number 15 against the Titans. I'm actually really liking Vidal this week. I might end up moving him up to closer to where you have him. It's a fantastic matchup against the Titans.
Yeah, and everything is kind of lined up in his favor. We thought it could be a split between him and Hassan Haskins, and Haskins got hurt. He got slowed down. Now, Mary Hampton's going to come back here in a few weeks. It'll be interesting to see if Vidal can kind of cut into that workload when that happens. Najee Harris is not going to be coming back. So we'll see how that plays out. But for now, you got to keep riding Vidal. He's the hot hand. He's doing what needs to do. And they're playing the Titans here this week, so he should be in plenty of positive game script mode like he was against the Vikings last Thursday in Week 8. So that all lines up. I mean, I think it's just very easy for the Chargers to run the ball when they have Joe Alt back, and they've got Herbert throwing the ball everywhere, because all those running lanes are going to open up, worrying about coverage and guys downfield. And, of course, having now Rondé Gadsden, too, draw some attention at tight end. That's also going to open some stuff up. So Vidal, look, he may not be the greatest talent in the world, but the situation is superior right now for someone who's getting that much workload in such a very good running game.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 career games now with over 10 carries, and they both came in 2 of the last 3 weeks. And I mean, he's been balling out as a starter. One bad game in a blowout against the Colts, but in the other 2 games where the Chargers were either close or had the lead, 19.2 and 21.3 fantasy points in half PPR. Over 125 scrimmage yards in both of those games. And his efficiency was really good too, with 5.1 yards per carry and 6.9 yards per carry in week 6. So he's been great. Now, Chase Brown, like I mentioned, we're both high on this week. But I will say the caveat that Joe Flacco plays, because now we have news that he's dealing with an AC joint sprain in his right shoulder. Brown was not good without Joe Flacco, right? Joe Flacco needs to be there for this offense to move and for them to have an opportunity to run the ball. But the Bears do give up points to fantasy running backs. So a fine matchup. And if Flacco plays, Chase Brown has been much better in actually scoring fantasy points.
Yeah, well, let's just hope it all works out for all elements of the Bengals offense. I mean, if they kind of don't get Flacco in there, then they're kind of probably waving the white flag a little bit more, even though this division is kind of crazy. None of these teams are all that dominant. The Steelers, Ravens, or Bengals. Someone's going to have to win at some point. So that's going to be a fun race to watch. But definitely if Flacco can't do what he has to do here, then it's going to really hurt Brown. Now, let's look elsewhere. Ashton Jeanty, he's a hard one. I have him down at RB16 because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to get. You can run on the Jaguars. You have him at RB13 coming off the bye. Do you think they'll have some improved schematics to get him the ball? Maybe also Brock Bowers' return could also help. I think just take somebody to trust or look at in coverage for the other team. So I think Jeanty has a rebound game. I just can't tell you how big it is. I don't know if we're ever going to chase that massive game he had with all those big touchdowns.
Yeah, so this is the thing with Jeanty too, right? Like I'm taking the leap of faith on Etienne and Jeanty coming off the bye. The Raiders need to get right. Hopefully, they took that bye seriously and fixed some things. But I mean, in that last game before the bye, it was a blowout loss to the Chiefs. They couldn't do anything. He ended up with just 6 carries, but like also no targets. I mean, one target, but I'm saying like he wasn't utilized in a game they were getting blown out. I don't understand in the passing game. But in the 3 games prior to that, he was coming along. He was having some good fantasy weeks. He was scoring touchdowns. So I think the Raiders can keep it close enough against the Jaguars that Jeanty should get some work and have a nice game. So that's why I have him at 13. And you're not far behind at 16. He's just behind Vidal and Brown and Etienne, and then JK Dobbins, who you have at 14. So JK Dobbins hasn't scored a touchdown in quite a long time, which is killing his fantasy value. So I am lower on Dobbins this week. I have him at 21 against the Texans, but you're still holding strong at 14 for him this week. And I mean, the Texans aren't the hardest team against the run, but they still are above average.
Yeah, I just see him still getting the volume. And look, RJ Harvey was a little bit fluky last week. He made some plays. He was just a matchup that they liked in that game. Well, you can basically like any matchup you like in matchups against the Giants and Cowboys. You can't be so picky and choosy when they're facing the Texans defense on the road. I think they're going to have to run it a little bit more this week. We'll see about the health of this receiving core here for CJ Stroud. But I think that when you look, with Denver going in, I would say, with Bo Nix, I should say, because again, I think it's just a low scoring game. I'm not that enthused about either quarterback Nix or Stroud in this game, right? I don't love the Texans running game either. So I just think there's going to be limited chances to score and move the ball in this one. So I think Broncos-Texans is one of the lower scoring games. I don't want to really expose myself to it in DFS, if very possible. Just no reason to. There's a lot of good games on the slate, even without Pat Surtain too. I think just be careful. I think Nico Collins might be the only guy that you would feel somewhat good about playing from that game. But Dobbins, again, on his side, he's still getting volume, and they're going to have to run it, I think, to beat the Texans more so than put it in the air. The Texans are just really good against the pass.
Yeah, the Texans defense is allowing the fewest points per game in the league overall. So really good defense. And I'm with you. I do expect that to be a lower scoring game. After Jeanty at 16, you have Kenneth Walker at 17 and David Montgomery at 18. I'm pretty similar just because of how thin this running back position has become this year and the players on bye. I have Montgomery at 19 against the Vikings and Kenneth Walker at 20 against the Commanders. Neither you feel super fuzzy and warm about playing, right? Like David Montgomery he's not going to score a touchdown as long as Zach Charbonnet is on the field. Like they always give it to him. Now, maybe out of the break, out of their bye, they change things up and they realize Walker's the better runner. Who knows? But he's not getting targets and he's not getting touchdowns, which is leading to very low floor and low ceiling for Walker this year. And then with David Montgomery, he's all over the place. You never know what you're going to get. You could get a big week, you get a low week because Jahmyr Gibbs steals all the touchdowns. But the line should be up pretty good, be able to beat up on the Vikings. And I feel a little bit better than Montgomery than I do Walker this week.
Yeah, Montgomery comes down to can he get that touchdown behind Jahmyr Gibbs? Kenneth Walker comes down to can he get the touchdown ahead of Zach Charbonnet? Yeah. So pretty much it's coming down to that. The Commanders do give up rushing touchdowns. They did struggle there in the red zone with Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt caught a touchdown. He ran in a touchdown there for the Chiefs against the Commanders last week. So you can run on them. It's a hard one, right? I mean, you want Walker to get a little bit more volume. If Marcus Mariota plays, you think the Commanders would be behind for a while. That would help the Seahawks touch the ball and kind of control the action. They really haven't gotten to that position a lot. They've also decided to pass a little bit more with Sam Darnold. We kept hearing about the run-heavy nature of the Seahawks and Raiders. That hasn't come to fruition yet because of the way things are gone, where they can't be as effective as they would like to be. So, again, Walker, I'm hoping for the best, that after a bye, they'll find a way to use him and Charbonnet more effectively. The matchup is very good here against the Commanders. And then, You look on the other side, the matchup is decent. It's not spectacular for David Montgomery, but we know at home there's a lot of opportunity for both him and Gibbs to score in the same game.
Yeah, absolutely. There should be a lot of scoring for that Lions offense at home. Now, right ahead of Montgomery and Walker at 16, I had Jaylen Warren against the Colts, Tyrone Tracy at number 17 against the 49ers, and then Kareem Hunt at number 18 against the Bills. I'll let you know why I like Tracy and Hunt a lot this week right after a quick break.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Tyrone Tracy Jr. for the Giants and Kareem Hunt for the Chiefs are both stepping up as new starters for their team because their original starter, Cam Skattebo, poor baby boy, is out for the year. And then Isaiah Pacheco, it looks like he'll be out for at least a few weeks here. In terms of both of these guys, they should get a decent workload. Kareem Hunt has a really nice matchup against the Bills, which should be a high-scoring game, but the Bills also give up a lot of points to running backs. And then with Tyrone Tracy, like he should get a ton of work now that Skattebo's out. And Skattebo was getting a ton of work in the passing game too, which I think is key. He was getting that with Dart. And the 49ers have allowed the third most receptions to running backs this year. And the 49ers defense in general, without Fred Warner, is just going to keep struggling. So I like both of these guys as options this week. And I like them better than guys like Walker and Montgomery.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, there's subs that you look at. I mean, and it also helps that we have some history on Tracy, that he can do the job. He can catch passes. He can run well. We just saw him score a touchdown against the Broncos a couple weeks ago. He has that kind of speed and burst that you're looking for. So that's good if they somehow fall behind the 49ers or it's kind of a grinding game. We saw the 49ers really contain the Falcons running game a couple weeks ago with Bijan Robinson, but Bijan did score. So I think to really get the value out of Tracy, he's going to have to score a touchdown in this one, where I feel more confident that Kareem Hunt scores, because Kareem Hunt is a very good red zone back at this point. So that actually really helps Hunt's value. He's starting to compile. Last week, I had to plug and play him. I didn't have a lot of options and depth, and I played him, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. Like, he's compiling, putting together a game that you're looking for. A few catches, a few runs, a couple touchdowns. Like, that could be in the offing or potential for every week because of how much the Chiefs could score. And this is going to be a high-scoring game. The total's in the 50s, where I think, Tracy, you just might be in a little bit of a lower scoring game. The Giants might be on the shelf a little bit if the 49ers control the game with Christian McCaffrey. So if I had to go there, I think Hunt is starting to be more appealing with Pacheco on the shelf. They're pretty close for me, though, 19 and 20 on the rankings.
Yeah, you don't have them far behind me. You have them just after guys like Walker and Montgomery, and I just have them just before. But I'm okay with that as well. But we're both saying they're really solid RB2 plays this week.
Yeah.
Now, 21 might be a surprise to someone for yours. It's Bam Knight, the Cardinals running back. Now that, James Conner and Trey Benson are out. But he gets the Cowboys, and I'm with you. I really like him this week as well. I have him at running back 23, so not far behind you whatsoever. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to move him up at least one spot, because I'll tell you who 22 is here in a second. I'm not excited about playing him. But Bam Knight's been getting the workload in this Cardinals backfield. He should get the work around the goal line as well. And he's also getting some targets, even though Michael Carter will steal that role too. But Cowboys defense can't stop any running back.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Michael Carter here. They released him, then they brought him back to the practice squad. They could elevate him back into action. I don't know what's going on. Like, there's something that was going on there with him, and it happened a little bit with the Jets, where there were some fickle questions about how does he stand on the team? Do the coaches like him and all that? That's happened, even though he showed some flashes there, if you remember way back when. So when you look at it now, Bam Knight would be the play because, again, we're not seeing a lot of the other backs. And you look at the Cowboys matchup, Cowboys, you can do whatever you want. Just put your backs in there. You saw it last week go nuts with Dobbins going over Century, but you also had Harvey come off the bench and explode in that one as well. So there's just a lot that you can do against the Cowboys. And look, it could be anybody in that matchup that has decent running skills that's going to be on the field, and they would have a chance to put up a nice fantasy day on the Cowboys. Or actually, it would be Monday night in this one.
Yeah. And then at 21, I already said I had JK Dobbins. You have Bam Knight. At 22, I have Rico Dowdle. I'm going to move him down past Bam Knight. I like Bam Knight more in this matchup. But Rico Dowdle should be the clear lead back in the Panthers backfield, but he's just not for whatever reason. Hubbard keeps getting too much work, and Rico Dowdle has been so much better than Hubbard this entire year, not just since he's come back from injury, but Hubbard, since coming back from injury, is averaging 2.5 yards per carry. While Dowdle on the season is averaging 5.7 yards. Last 2 weeks in the same matchup, like 6.7 yards per carry, 4.6. Well, Hubbard can't even hit 2.8. So I don't get it. They're a worse team when they try to utilize Hubbard, but also this matchup is terrible. Packers are super, super tough against running backs, giving up the third fewest points per game to the position, only 3.8 yards per carry to running backs, and only 2 touchdowns so far this year. So the fact that the Panthers coaches are stupid and it's a tough matchup, I want to just avoid this backfield altogether.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that Andy Dalton's in there. We never thought we'd want to have Bryce Young back, but
it does look like
Andy,
Young could be back. He's back at
practice. I don't know if it's a tough
but
one.
still, it's a super tough
matchup.
matchup.
Yeah, it's super tough matchup on the road. It's not exactly how you want them to go less than 100% on the road. I mean, I don't know. Last couple games, we had Dowdle explode. It was against the Cowboys and Dolphins at home. Like, those are as good as you can get, right? They're not going to get much better than that. The Bills were a bit of a reality check. That game was so out of control that the Panthers could not stay with the running game whatsoever. And then you look this week. I mean, the Packers are a little bit vulnerable against the run, but I'm really worried about the game script going like you did last week against the Bills. So it's tough. Look, you play Tedero McMillan every week, but you should have options when you look at Panthers other than Tet, because, again, things are not consistent there with what we're looking at from any part of their offense other than the wide receiver, who's actually putting together decent numbers. He's just not scoring because the team's not scoring. But every week, at least, he gives you the production that you expected there. Otherwise, you're 2-3, but the running backs, no, stay away from that.
Yeah. You have Zach Charbonnet at 22, which you're really just counting on a touchdown there. I understand that. I don't have him that high, but if you get the touchdown or 2, you'll be happy with that. Number 23, Tajae Spears for you. And I'm right with you at 24 against the Chargers. He's starting to get more work, starting to get more playing time, and he's been way more efficient than Tony Pollard this year. Only played 4 games so far this season, but getting more involved, like I said. He had 59 yards on the ground last week with a touchdown, 23 yards through the air with 3 targets and 3 receptions. Like, he's being utilized as a receiver, and he's starting to get it going on the ground. So I like this matchup for him too. It's middle of the pack. The Chargers are against fantasy running backs, but they are allowing 5 yards per carry to running backs and 8 rushing touchdowns so far this year. So don't mind the matchup. I think Spears is a sneaky play.
Yeah, to get to garbage time is where Spears produced last week. He had the touchdown. Otherwise, it would have been just a modest flex day for him, but the touchdown kind of put him in the RB2 range all of a sudden. And I actually planned to play him in the league, and I picked him up in the morning, and I said, okay, I'll give it a shot and see what happens. And there's a lot of things that just kind of worked out for me like that last week. Now, Tyjae Spears can work out for you too if you need some RB2 help. But again, I don't think it's a total takeover. It was just barely more than 50% of the key snaps there. But the Titans need to look at everything. They got to look at things that are not working. They got to try all the stuff that needs to work, right, for them. And Cam Ward cannot just keep dropping back, take these hits, and throw to random guys and not produce, right? They need some help and evolution as this team goes on, right? If they're in evaluation mode. So I think Spears just being the younger back, Pollard kind of the free agent back that I think he would fare much better if he was on a winning team and a positive offense. I think this is just not the right place for him anymore in Tennessee. So, yeah. Spears, I think he's a lot more playable back. I don't think he can play Pollard at this stage.
No, and a couple other guys we don't want to play this week are Jordan Mason against the Lions. His playtime dropped significantly to 35% with Aaron Jones back, and the Lions are very tough against fantasy running backs on top of that. And then Alvin Kamara, I mean, he's not doing anything at all. He's been useless, and he gets the Rams, who have allowed the second fewest points per game to running backs. They have not allowed a rushing touchdown yet to running backs this year, and Kamara has not scored a rushing touchdown since week 1. So not someone I want to play. And then also Ramondre Stevenson, I guess I'd rather play him over Mason or Kamara. But if you don't have to play him, it could be one of his good weeks. Maybe the Patriots beat up on the Falcons, but his floor is just so incredibly low, and his ceiling's not high enough to risk it.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there. I mean, luckily we have some guys that are taking on bigger roles. Tracy, Hunt, Knight. These are good. We've been waiting for some of these backfields to change, some of these lottery tickets to work, throwing Spears and that. So the backups are slowly starting to come into play, right? Because of the attrition hitting at running back, this team's getting decimated. Look, we didn't think it was going to be so deep for some of these teams in this backfield, but again, anybody who's carrying the ball at a high level for a team that's going to be semi-dedicated to the run, much like the Chargers with Kimani Vidal, are going to be productive. So find those teams, go for those teams. Don't go for the teams that aren't giving a guy enough the ball and just start kind of sputtering to move the ball. And definitely you look at the Saints, they fall in that category for sure. They're not doing anything to change things either. So stay away from it. And the Vikings, another offense that is showing bad vibes of late as well.
That will be it for today's episode. I want to thank you all for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen of the day. For your second listen, get a double dose of the Locked On NFL podcast. Tyler the Madman Rowland gives you a shot of espresso to start your football day, while Tony Wiggins takes you into the barbershop for the smoothest breakdowns to end the day. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We will be back tomorrow to finish up our positional rankings with wide receivers. Don't miss it. We'll talk to you then. Bye, y'all.